right, and welcome back, everyone. So again, we are part of TCCA 2020. We're glad to have you. This is the 10th anniversary. We're so excited to be able to put this conference on virtually this year and go global. My name is Kimberly Aceto-Tanig, and I will be hosting this session. Before we get started, I want to go over a few items with you. If you have any comments, please post them in the chat. My co-host, Carrie Dirks, will be monitoring the chat and be providing them for discussion at the end of the session. At the end of this session, I will give you a password. You will need that password to open up your certificate for this session. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce your presenter, John Meehan.
Hey everybody, I am very overrated, but I want to say thanks for taking some time with me today. I have a slide deck. I'm going to be that guy who does the death by PowerPoint, and I hope you can hear me. If at any point I'm going too quickly, or if you need anything further, I will certainly make myself available immediately after the session, both on my website, which is adrenalinerush.com, and on Twitter, talking about ways to engage students when we go the distance. Talk about student engagement strategies for virtual teaching, whether you're doing hybrid or FlexBrid or cohort brid. I mean, there's all these different buzzwords we're doing today. I tell the students I have no life, I have no friends, I just do teaching. So as an instructional coach and as a classroom teacher, I am constantly leaning into these conversations, and I get stronger by running with people who are stronger than me. And as we learn and we help one another, if I don't have the answers, I'm happy to put you in touch with any resources that I have. So all of the templates you'll see today are available on my website, adrenalinerush.com. And if you want any questions, certainly feel free to message me on Twitter at meehan.edu. I also want to turn on closed captions. I hope you can see that, because when we're making shifts for distance learning, we want to make sure that every student feels like they're a part of the team. And I think that's really, really important. Ableism is uncool. There's so many ways that online instruction can replicate all of the bad things about our classrooms. And one of the best things about our classrooms is that idea of engagement and connectedness, that human moment that someone has thought of. I personally struggle with anxiety and depression myself. I see a mental health provider, and I have been in 4 years, constantly working on, when you see me, I look like I'm okay, but you don't know what I'm working on or what I'm going through. Many of our students have the exact same story. So what we can ever do to just little ways that they don't have to have those microaggressions or those moments to check out or disengage, ways to make our class safer and supported and more accessible to all learners. So something as small as putting on closed captions is a great trick for distance learning. Today I'm going to focus on what I'm going to call my Magnificent 7 tricks for distance learning. But if you want to see on the Google slides here, you can scroll down to the bottom. There is a captions button. I can just turn that on or off with the click of a button. There's also a tool that's similar on PowerPoint and on Screencastify. And I think even on PowerPoint, you can do it that you can speak English, but it could have subtitles in a second language. So if you're working in a student population that is Spanish speaking, for example, an awesome way to help bring other people to the table. Because great games do not discriminate between black and white, rich and poor, gay and straight, old and young players. The game says, I'm excited you're here. There's no functional difference between who you were outside of here and when you're here. And I can't wait to see what you can do. We're not going to give students of color a different deck of Pokemon cards than we give students who are white, or our gay students have access to a different deck of cards than our straight students do. Games don't care how you learned it. Games are excited that you showed up to the table to learn with you. So I want to help us go the distance and be on the same team as we can. So let's get into it. Today, talking about ways to breathe and go the distance. I'm a marathon runner. It's a hobby that I find great joy in helping to kind of calm a mind that's always racing. And I love the idea of focusing on my breath. It also helps me in my own therapy too. You know, the idea of you can't control a lot of things, but you can control how you breathe. And believe it or not, a lot of your running life is just simply determined by how much you're breathing in and how much you're breathing out. In the time before COVID, I would often say that reading was breathing in and writing was breathing out. I love that metaphor. You know, you can't just read. I teach English, right? You can't just read stuff. You have to write about it. But we shifted to this COVID model and this instructional model in March, April, May, June, that my students, maybe reading wasn't always the best thing. There's a lot of ways to get information into yourself. And it isn't always just by reading lines on a page, left to right, top to bottom. So I've shifted my thinking and I said, you know, I do want you breathing in and breathing out, but I think maybe instead of reading, maybe we can say consuming, because the world doesn't really care how you learn what you learn, whether it's through a video or a podcast or a book or a mentor or a world experience. It doesn't care how you learned it. Just want to see what you can do with it. So I need you to breathe some stuff in. Direct instruction looks different in a time of flipped and hybrid models. Whether you're doing direct instruction in a physical classroom or an online classroom. In my own school, for example, I have in-person unit where students will come in. We're all masked, of course, and half the students are in on a Monday and half are in on Tuesday. But I also have students who dial in virtually whose families do not feel comfortable sending them into the building. And they are just dialing in on a Zoom call while I'm teaching that class. They're, quote, attending the live class, but they're not there in person. That's okay. There are different ways to learn. My goal is to say, as long as you're breathing it in, I don't really care how you learned it, right? Different students will learn in different ways on different days. Talk about direct instruction. A live class is but one way to get that information. If you miss my live class, there's no reason why I can't post a recording of my live class, maybe as a Flipgrid or as an ed puzzle. We'll talk about Flipgrid a little bit in a minute. But I could also post it as a podcast. Hey guys, go ahead and listen to this recording and take notes on it. Give me the timestamps of what you found and of most import and shoot it to me as a quick email or post it up on our LMS. I would in class check for understanding by asking you to raise your hands when I got to certain questions as a lecture, but lectures are maybe not the best format for online. So maybe, hey, here's a video online. We can go ahead and do that. Watch this video, take notes. There's a lot of ways to consume information on the internet. Maybe you can take notes from a print or a digital source. Hey, check out this website. I want you to go to this USA Today article. Write down the 5 things you found most of import. I have to humble myself and my teacher ego and say, I would love it very much if everything that they learned came from me, Mr. Meehan. But the truth is the internet is twice as fast as any teacher could ever hope to be, and 50 times as smart with just so much up-to-date information. If we can curate good resources for our students, they can breathe those things in. Put my teacher ego aside and say, you know what, y'all, I don't care how or where you learned it. I want to see what you can do now that you know it. So breathing it in, whether it comes from that lecture or that podcast or that video or online articles, I'm kind of okay with all those things. And I kind of have to be as a mentality about breathing in, breathing out, remembering that going forward. But if they breathe in that stuff from you right now, how do you push it out? Creating is breathing out. I want my students to generate work, to make things of value. And I'll spend most of today's conversation talking about ways that they could breathe out and be seen on that same team as anybody else. Maybe they could share their thoughts verbally or as a podcast. Every week I actually record a podcast in my car. It's called Talk to Me in the Car. And I talk about instructional coaching strategies from the week that was on Twitter and in education consulting and in research and in writing. But I don't have to do anything fancy. I literally record it in my car. I hit the record button while I'm driving on my voice memos app. And then when I'm done, I hit the send button and it becomes an MP3. That fast, that easy. It's a very long voicemail. That's it. They can do that. Hey guys, read this chapter and send in a 30-second voicemail where you tell me what was the most important thing. Maybe they can use WhatsApp to do that, or they can use Voxer. That's okay. I'm actually good with all of those things. I don't care how they got it to me. I just need to see that they're breathing something out, pushing it out. That's great. They don't want to do that. Don't feel comfortable having their voice on tape. Some students don't like the sound of their voice. No problem. Maybe they can share their notes in a Google Doc or in an annotation on your LMS. No problem, guys. If you don't feel comfortable having your voice on record because it kind of sounds funky, go ahead and take notes, and we'll see ways to share those annotations, not just with me, but with your classmates, so that we can see, hey, you're just engaging. You're breathing in, you're breathing out. I know that you still have a pulse. I know that you're still there. Some students don't feel comfortable turning their cameras on. We should not make them turn their cameras on. They do not feel comfortable with that for any number of reasons that may be very dark reasons that we have no way of knowing why they would not want cameras in their own home, or they have recovered trauma about reasons why they wouldn't want that. Okay, fine. There are different ways that you can still be seen and be heard. However, if you feel comfortable, or if your students feel comfortable, maybe they can film short videos and post it to the web. Now, maybe that doesn't work for every student, so give them options. Hey everyone, we just read the first chapter of The Great Gatsby. I'd like either a short podcast from you, or short written notes from you, or a short video from you. Everyone is going to do some work, but the work that they do is up to them. Breathe in. I gave you the information. The book gave you the information. The website gave you the information. The video gave you the information. And now it's your chance to breathe it out. They can do it as a TikTok video. They can do it as a short YouTube video. There's no reason why we should limit ourselves in this time and space, provided we're using safe platforms, to just doing it the way it was always done. This is a great opportunity, especially in a time of COVID, to say, hey, different times call for different measures. This is not normal by any stretch of the imaginations. If our child can learn in a different way, let's celebrate them. Let's give them a place on our team and a place at our table. And I love the idea of being seen and celebrated as a member of a family, even if we present with different learning needs. One of my favorite quotes comes from an educator. His name is Rushton Hurley. He's based out of Japan. I've seen him speak a number of times, and I was really wowed when he said, I think he says it in his presentations, he may have also written it in his book. He says, when students know that others will see their work, they genuinely want it to be good. I think there's something about this that speaks to what we're missing from COVID, right? When we're in our physical school, to know that there's that on-stage performance for like the big fall recital, or there's that football game where everyone in the Friday Night Lights is coming in to root for you or cheer for you, or that big spelling bee in front of everybody in the school, or that gallery walk, or that Socratic seminar, or that I have a gold star on the fridge and I can't wait to be seen and celebrated by my parents. Students see that other people are going to see their work. They genuinely have that in their person. It's very Aristotelian, very Socratic. We're social creatures by nature. To be seen and be celebrated, be connected with one another. I hope it's good. There's that girl in class. I kind of think she's kind of cute. I hope she can see that I did a good job. That person's my friend. I want to do well because I don't want to let them down. They want it to be good. But if they know that it's just for the teacher, then they're kind of okay with it being just good enough. Look, Mr. Meehan, I don't like you. We're not the same person. We don't agree with the same things. We don't believe the same things. We don't want the same things. Also, you're old and you're bald and you got a crooked tooth. They don't want to have any conversation with me. They'll do that thing on the bus, turn it in, and forget about it. It gets the grade, moves to the junk drawer, and on they go. I want my work in class to be breathing in and breathing out good stuff. I want my students to feel connected to one another, to feel empathy, to feel dignity in their work and in themselves. And my goal then is to give them opportunities where they are connecting and seen and celebrated around people who are like and unlike them, because it helps them feel like they are part of something much, much larger than themselves. So I want to talk about my education game changers. These are my magnificent 7 education game changers for distance learning. And I'm going to give a bit of research science to help get us there. As an instructional coach, I do work with teachers of all content areas in my own school. I have 103 teachers that I work with. But I also work as an education consultant and a speaker and a writer and a presenter. So I do a lot about the research behind why it works before I get into my own classroom and I teach 2 sections of American Lit. There is this great bit of scientific research that goes way back to 2004 when a research team from Harvard and I think it was UC Berkeley did a research in 2004 about this idea of what they call an endowed progress effect, and I'll explain it immediately. We probably have all seen sandwich cards like this, frequent sandwich buyer cards or frequent car wash buyer cards. Buy 9, get the 10th one free. You go into your favorite shop, they punch it with a special punch, and they say, see you next time. Okay, fine. In 2004, a research team from both sides of the country did a bunch of work where they were studying the science behind how do people fill out these cards? Do they fill out these cards? And if so, to what degree do they complete them? They go into car wash A, and 10 punches gets you a free car wash. They go to car wash B, and 8 punches gets you a free car wash. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that car wash B is likely to get a higher return on investment simply because people are physically doing less work, right? 8 is easier to get to than 10. That makes sense. Interestingly, though, when car wash A and car wash B are running the exact same experiment, 10 punches and 8 punches, car wash A decides they're going to give you your first 2 punches for free. Beginner's luck, first day bonus. Oh, it's your first time here? Pop, pop. They've punched out 2 holes. Now you have a card from place A that has effectively 8 holes, and from place B, a card that effectively has 8 holes. Statistically, 8 holes against 8 holes, there should be no difference in the number of people who complete from place A or place B. And yet, the research science suggests that there's an 82% higher likelihood that people who got the 2 free punches will finish out their cards. That is a wild statistic. And the game changer there, we learn, is what we call this endowed progress effect. Simply stated, the endowed progress effect says you start with a little bit, you start to feel progress, you almost feel embarrassed to not take advantage of this progress. You feel smart by taking advantage of that progress, and you don't want to be stupid and squander it. So when I do distance learning, I will always on the bottom of my screens, and I have one right here, include, you see it, a thermometer or an endowed progress meter. These are the 7 things that I will cover in today's presentation. I'm talking about my 7 education game changers, my magnificent 7. You notice each of these is marked in a little box. And as I would give today's presentations in class, these would be like the 7 different modular pieces of we will cover in the next 30 minutes or 40 minutes, whatever it happens to be. What's nice about it is it sort of sets a signpost of where we're going with a hint of a world to come. One says, in a world where, ... And then along the way, students will see that we are making incremental progress. They start to feel proud of the work that they've done. That's very Alexander Hamilton. Look at where we are. Look at where we started. That momentum starts to swell, and that belief that you can makes you feel like, hang on, I'm getting there. I'm that much closer to it. Unfortunately, educators are competing against the world of Fortnite, the world of Among Us, the world of Netflix, the world of Apex Legends with very fast feedback. A big problem of online education is it can start to feel like jelly, like amorphous. I've been on a call for, 40 minutes, an hour. Who knows, right? All pandemic time, who forgets to even wear a belt because you've just been sitting on your couch for forever? Giving a student a sense that, hey, you're making some real progress here makes them proud of the work that they're doing. Like those sandwich loyalty cards, makes them that much more inclined to want to come back and finish it. So I'm talking about 7 different strategies today, and each of them I've given a sneaky bit of a clever name in hopes to kind of get you a little excited and help you find your pace throughout our presentation today. Our first game changer, I'm talking about virtual Post-it notes. If you've never used Post-it notes in class for like a parking lot, it's amazing. Hey guys, what do you think? Go ahead and post your comments right there on the sticky notes. We'll stick them on the board. Well, we can't really do that in COVID. But I do like the idea of getting students to write down their thoughts and share them with one another. That's helpful because it helps them, again, be seen and be celebrated. We gave information in, breathe it in, and I want them to breathe it out on a virtual Post-it note. So for this sticky situation, my game changer, I love using the tool called Padlet. If you've never used Padlet before, there's a link that should be coming in the chat presently. This is a link to an online Padlet board. It looks just like this. Not particularly fancy. You can double-click anywhere on the available space, and you can add a virtual sticky note. I have a question. What is your favorite online teaching tip or strategy in this time of unprecedented new normal, whatever that means? Go ahead and double-click in that board any way you like to. You can leave your comments anonymous, as you see many people here have done. Or if you wanted to, you can sign your name to it. You also have the ability to upload a picture or a GIF if you'd like, or put a link in there. And now your sticky note is there for all of your classmates to see. If you're running in your own classroom, you can do this sort of thing and make it password protected so that only your students would have access to it. You can also force it to require their name attached to it so they can't have anonymous people saying all sorts of nasty things. But I'm going to X out of this presentation immediately. I'm going to hop over to the Padlet. I'd love to see your comments as they're coming through there. What is your smart tip for online teaching? And it's just a way to kind of, again, get your feet wet and do a practice 20-second version of, let's play with Padlet right now. I'll go ahead and escape, and I'll meet you over in that piece now. You should be able to see my screen, and I see all sorts of stuff here. Let's see what's coming up here. Someone says they love GimKit. GimKit is a fantastic tool. I love GimKit. It's one of my favorite game-based things for sure. Students absolutely love it. Andrea said Flipgrid. Flipgrid is amazing. We'll talk about Flipgrid presently. Someone's brain breaks. I agree. Giving your child or your students a chance to take a breath between all of the craziness, for sure. Someone said Flipgrid. I use it in so many ways. Awesome. It's like you're reading my notes. We're going to go talk about Flipgrid right next. Someone said Kahoot, Seesaw. Small clips, not full movies, but clips of things here. Give very good examples and directions, recording short mini lessons. Amazing. I love that. Flipgrid reflections to share about their projects so that peers can see them. And you can see on my screen, I'm getting those pop-ups here. People are making comments, and I'm seeing them come through with real-time updates. They give quizzes. They give Pear Deck. They like clips, Seesaw, using Flipgrid, Google Classroom, Flipgrid, and having students meet one another, Google Meets for tutoring, having students to teach one another. I love it. And again, I hope you're seeing things here that are of value. Edpuzzle is life. Yes, and big thumbs up. Whoever you are, I think we should be best friends. I totally agree. Edpuzzle works with Flipgrid too, because the student can submit a video, then you can take that video and post it back up in an Edpuzzle with pause questions asking of other students. What a great, great idea. Screencastify for pre-recorded mini lessons or explanation. I love the idea of sharing what we know with an authentic audience bigger than ourselves. Pear Deck and Nearpod are fantastic tools to do it. And again, hopefully you're able to see, as we're using Padlet here, just as an example, there are a lot of ways to get people engaged simply by just asking a question up online. And you can certainly take this and really run with it. I'm going to go back to our presentation, but I want to say thank you if you had a chance to comment in here. If you haven't had a chance to comment, you're welcome to keep commenting, but I'm going to keep on with the presentation because I want to honor our time together. We only have about 32 minutes left in this session. But talking about our online teaching tips, our closed captions are back up again, making people feel like they're a part of the team, that they're seen, that they're heard, that their voice has value. I could see someone post on that Padlet and I'd say, ooh, Johnny, that's a great point. Johnny, can you unmute and tell us why you said what you said? You said Edpuzzle is life. Oh my God, Dina, we're going to be best friends. Dina, can you unmute and tell the story of that validation, that 5-to-1 positive to negative ratio helps a student feel like you're not just there to micromanage them or like boss them around. You're saying, I see what you contributed. That's a great place to start. There's no fear here because it was an easy ask. And now I want to hear what you have to say. It's an icebreaker. You're brought back into the game. Here we are with game changer number 2, speaking of videos. And you can see my progress bar is starting to fill up there on the bottom. We went from a sticky situation. Now we're flipping for video. And we're talking about ways to chat with student videos. We kind of tipped our hand on the last frame about it, but I am going to talk about it again. This is one, if you feel like we're just covering familiar territory, know that you're ahead of the game. The world is catching up with us, that we need interactive video. And if you have not yet, Flipgrid is the premier way to get it done. If you're using Flipgrid, congratulations. It lends itself to so many awesome pedagogical steps. About 3 years ago, Flipgrid was purchased by Microsoft, and it made it free for forever for anyone to use. And you can use Flipgrid to create a password-protected discussion forum where students can share their thoughts in video recordings. Totally safe, so the only people who have access are the other members of that domain. Here you see my students were sharing their information. And they post up their short videos. It could be a 2-minute video, a 30-second video, it could be a 5-minute video. And then you as the teacher or any members of the class can then click on the student video and watch it back in real time. As a teacher feature, you can even watch it back in double speed, which can save you a little bit of time. But students post up their comments as if they were in a discussion forum. You can see their smiling faces with as much as they want to share here. You see Haley in that huge smiling grin there on the right-hand side. She's a full distance learner. She doesn't get to see the students this year who are in her class. How much more do they feel like she is seen and heard and not just the voice on the other end of a call when they can click and see the joy in her eyes? Maybe I see some of my other students here like Emma. I think every 12 or 17-year-old girl has taken exactly that picture at one point or another. A little bit of swagger, a little bit of personality. Tommy put up a picture of himself and he put up an emoji over the top of his face because he didn't feel comfortable being seen on the internet. That's okay. It has filtering tools where you can put up, it looks like, a mirror, or it looks like a grid in front of you. You look like you're made out of Legos. So no one has to see if you do not feel comfortable being seen. Or you can do something like Andrew here. He says, you know what? We go to O'Connell High School. I want to share my school pride. I don't want to have my face appear on camera if that's okay. I'm fine with that. You shouldn't force children to have a face on camera if they don't feel comfortable with that. You would only share those things in the members of the group with other people who could see it. And then students can then click in here and reply to Emma or to Cal or to Sergio's comments. And that's really helpful because then they can see videos of their classmates responding as if they were talking to one another in a long video chat. They can also put comments to one another, and you can say, hey, post your favorite thing from chapter 1. They talk about it. Then tomorrow's homework, go back in and see who posted something and post a video where you agree or disagree and tell them why they said what they said. Or solve problems 1 through 20. Pick any problem that you have, but first come, first serve, guys. So once that problem 1 is accounted for, no one else can solve problem number 1. They have to then watch one another's videos to find out which videos have been solved. And then for next night's homework, go back in and see that person A, B, or C, your randomly assigned partner, has done well. If so, explain what they did well. Again, metacogniting. We learn by teaching, giving our students a chance to then breathe out through those awesome video presentations, things that they are learning. Flipgrid is a fantastic tool. I cannot say enough great things about it. It is truly a game changer. Game changer number 3, I've got oh so pretty presentations. And I made a joke here on the bottom. Why don't you slides? That's an old Goo Goo Dolls joke. If you guys are, sometimes I put things in my presentation just to make me laugh. And for the 1% of people who get them, they laugh along with it too. But the truth is, you have to do something to distinguish yourself in this digital age of presentation. Unfortunately, so much of our students' presentations on those 6 hours, 7-hour Zoom calls is just death by PowerPoint. Even today's presentation, I can't see your faces and it makes me so awkward and so nervous. We need a little bit of breathing in, breathing out, making jokes and laughing with one another. And so I take my presentations and I want to make them stand out above the crowd. Because here's the truth. In 6 or 7 hours of Zoom calls, you are going to get a lot of information just sprayed at you like a fire hose. I want to present students something that's clever, something that's curious, and that's novel, that makes them want to go back and see the next logical iteration of what that could be. I'm going to give some examples here, some pretty presentations. These are all made on Google Slides. I have all these templates available on my website totally for free. Please feel free to use them in any way you like to. About 7 or 10 years ago, this is what my PowerPoints would look like. I would have to give them a lot of information. And so I would put it there in a copy paste. It's pretty much like a textbook right there on the page. The 2 gentlemen who actually built PowerPoint said, if you ever wanted to defeat an opposing army, the most efficient way to do it would be to send them the PowerPoint. And I think that's funny because it sort of owns a lot. PowerPoint was designed to do a lot of things, and it ends up doing the wrong things the right way, or the right things the wrong way. They become just death by PowerPoint. Click, 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 information, 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 slide, slide, slide. This could have been a handout, right? This should have been a handout. But I would take this and I'd say, well, I want my students to know this dark story about these short pieces of fiction from the American South in the 1920s and 1930s. So I would give it a title. And I would maybe try to make it all Halloween looking, where I'd give it a pretty looking, I don't know, spooky looking title here. Exploring the Mysteries of Sin and Salvation. I don't know. My graphic design skills aren't so great, guys. This is what I got. Sorry. Now my kids have gone through an English and a math and a science and a history and a language class and maybe a PE class. But the second they've clicked off of this slide, they will remember nothing on this slide. I know from a little bit of that right brain, left brain research that we can do more if we connect images to words. So I'll give them an image here, maybe of a spooky looking barn. I don't know. I tried, guys. It's spooky looking, but I have a lot of information to cover. I don't know. Read it. I would send this out, and I would hope my students would care. But in a synchronized classroom, I'd be able to talk about things and like illustrate things and tell more rich stories. In an online classroom, I send this out on a Monday and I won't see them till Wednesday's virtual class. I don't know if they're going to read it. They're probably not. That's bad news for me. So what if I took this exact same content and just reappropriated it slightly with some minor changes, still here available on Google Slides? For starters, that same title I'm going to present here with a little bit of a funny, clever twist. In this case, I just gave it a different color and a different font face. Now, if you notice it, the Southern Gothic Search for Purpose almost looks serious, maybe? I don't know, maybe stern? Maybe just by the font face I used, it looks like it's blocky, like it's trying to say something that's really important. And if you look closely, it has these two crosses. My school is a Catholic school, so we can use faith-based imagery. But the Southern Gothic stories deal with the idea of faith and purpose, and sometimes the good and bads of people who are using faith for the wrong reasons. Now, picking another font, just something as simple as picking a different font, helps it stand out from the pack. Now it feels spooky. You can't help but sort of put the puzzle together and say, wait, this black background, I got sin and salvation. I don't know, Mr. Meehan, something about this feels weird. They have not read a single word of this slide. They've just looked at it. But their brain is starting to filling in some details, starting to make some predictions. That's a good thing. I want that for my English class or for your science class or for your history class. Now if I'm a background, I just took a GIF, inserted that GIF as the background, literally by hitting the insert, and it says, where do you want? I want to insert a GIF. And I grab the GIF from the internet. If you saw this image, before you saw any words on here, does this feel like a safe place in the woods? Does it feel like a spooky place in the woods? Does it make you want to look around that corner or maybe look over your shoulder? Does it make you feel like you're clean in this water or that maybe something bad might happen here? Again, our brain starts to make up the narrative based on the images that we've incorporated throughout our slide deck. And the beauty is you can use videos and images and GIFs in conjunction with words to really help your presentations pop. Now I'll take 3 pictures that relate to the stories that we read. Again, it's that same barn picture, and I have a broken down car, and I have a boy who's getting baptized, or maybe he's drowning. I don't know what's going on there. How much more is a child already making predictions about what is happening in this story before they even read a single word of it? When you get in the line in Walt Disney World and you see the Haunted Mansion, you're about to go into a warehouse with a track underground that moves in the dark. It's not a particularly exciting thing. To help get you excited about that, they have all this elaborate theming beforehand about these tombstones and this crypt. You hear this creaking and you see these right, noise and sights and sounds and smells. Your brain is building the narrative and it's helped welcoming you to the world of the story. So it almost feels like magic, like I'm escaping to this place together. Now I can take this text and put a nice little half-shaded box in here where you can still see that there's something behind it, but maybe you can't see everything. Maybe there's something up here. I don't know what's going on. Then take that same text I had before. Now, you might argue that this is overkill and there's probably too much on this slide, and I probably would agree with you that there's a lot to be had here. But here's the truth. I have to stand out from the pack. And if I send this to students on a Monday, hey guys, take a look. Are they a little bit more likely to look at my slide because this one looks pretty? And then I created a world just like the Haunted Mansion where they are welcomed into it. And now they want to see what's on that next slide, even if they are just sort of randomly clicking. Now, to slide number 2 then. If we're in that same world of it, here's that spooky water in the background. Here's that logo in that font a little bit bigger. Children at a very young age learn how to play games like Candyland, where when they're done with square 1, they move to square 2, from 2 to 3 to 3 to 4. Could this have been a handout? Sure. Hey guys, here's the 5 tasks I need to accomplish this week. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. But that's font overload, and students very quickly won't check that stuff because they have 50 tasks listed for 50 different classes. So instead I was like, hey guys, the slide deck's there. When you're ready, give a click into it. They know the first step. They start on the left, they follow the arrow. The next thing they do is they review the story menu. To do that, they literally just take their mouse and scroll over into these items and give a click on either A or B or C. When they're done with the green item, they move to the gray item. Ask them to vote. They click this vote icon and they are able to make their vote right now. Then to the purple, then to the green, then to the white, and so on and so forth. So by the end of the week, I got a week's worth of stuff. But if they get it done on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, it ultimately needs to be done by Friday's class when I see them, whether it's in person or a flipped or a virtual. But whether they binge do it all at once, 2 or 3 stages in a row, I don't really care. They know when they did the first, move to the second. Again, it's that endowed progress. It makes them feel like they're making a headway in a thing that otherwise feels just like a lot of work. I could even embed in their slide decks that they all have edit access to, right from the Google Drive or right from the Google Classroom. Hey guys, slide 1 told you the rules of the unit. Slide 2 is the board game for the unit about how you make your way through it. Then each subsequent slide is the work product. This is a graphic organizer. Watch this video of Beyonce or this video from professional wrestling. And both of them are dealing with Southern Gothic imagery. I don't care what you find, but I want you to write down the 10 things that you find that are most disturbing or unsettling, and make sure to include timestamps about where you found what you found. It's a graphic organizer. They can make predictions about what type of spooky stuff might this unit entail, because whether we're talking about pro wrestling or pop music, this Southern Gothic ethos is all around us in this sort of Walking Dead era type presentations. Helps our students see that it's not just an English class we're learning this stuff, it fits into the world outside of our classrooms. And my work in classroom now feels like work outside of classroom. It helps them connect and feel like the work that we're doing in the class does have a relevance. Likewise, very easy to grade this stuff because every student has his or her own copy of the slide deck. All I have to do is open the slide deck and I see every piece of work that the child does. And slide 1 and slide 2 and slide 3 and graphic organizer on slide 5 and so on and so forth. Really, really helpful. Again, just using GIFs and using a little bit of presentation elements. What I love also is the ability to use free tools on the web. I hate it when people, as a coach and as a teacher, take my time or take my money because I don't have much of either of them to give away. There's a great tool called Remove BG. It's on the internet, totally free. It's removedbg.com. You take a picture of yourself, like this one. This is me pre-COVID with a little bit more hair. And I can take it with a push of a button. I can wipe that background out, where now it's just me. And now I'm like Flat Stanley. I can travel to any place I can put a background behind. So maybe I'm teaching about Mesopotamia and I need to have the pictures behind me. Now it looks like Mr. Meehan is right there on the spot, walking them through whatever that strategy is. Here I am in the back of my own classroom. Maybe you want to take them on a virtual tour of a place they've never seen. Talking about faith and sin and salvation. Maybe you want to take a trip to a church. And you can be there like a Flat Stanley to guide them across it with words over the top of it. Look here, you can see a little bit of fun, a little bit of cleverness. That teacher has traveled to another place with you, like a virtual field trip. Maybe you just want to have a place that makes your friends laugh. Don't give this one to your kids. You just pop yourself up there and it's the game of how can I make my friends laugh? Here I am at my third space, sitting right on the bar. You know, bartender, I'll take a double, thanks. I wouldn't show this to my students, of course, but could you use the same activity with your kids and say, hey guys, I need you to make yourself into a Flat Stanley. Put yourself wherever you think in our unit would have been the most XYZ. So maybe they're doing a unit on dinosaurs. Where would they be in the dinosaurs? Would they be in the Cretaceous period? Would they be there watching a T-Rex battle? Like they find the good picture, the best picture, because they want to impress their classmates, right? They want to be seen. And then you make a virtual book where we're all sharing, this is what Billy's and Bobby's and Janie's and Susie's were. Maybe they all have shared access to a Google slide deck. And now we see on slide 1, Bobby is in Mesopotamia, and Janie is in the Byzantine Empire, and Billy is in ancient Egypt. That's cool. They can annotate why they said what they said and tie into your course content. It's like Miss Frizzle, right? Wearing that funny looking dress on any given day to sort of give a hint to where we will be traveling on the world today. You can use any sort of online content and appropriate yourself over the top of it. You can also use really cool editing softwares like Unscreen, totally free. Unscreen lets you take a GIF of yourself or anything you want to, and it wipes out the background. I'm not really standing here in a pool in $1 million mansion. This is great for a math class, for example. Math is great with word problems, right? Hey, if there is a train moving at 60 miles an hour and the smoke is blowing that way, and there's a train moving at this one 20 miles an hour, but the smoke is blowing that way, where do they meet and where do they crash? Could you use word problems to get students to see the practical applications of the work that you do? This I look like I'm whoop, whoop, making that money, raising my hands, raising the roof. I call this big money math in the $1 million mansion. I'm doing problems like, what is the cost to buy this much tile or to measure this much carpet, or how much area and depth do we need for a pool? Things like that. Could you have a picture of yourself laughing it up, waving, making it look like you're making money? And now your kids are like, oh, math, right, that's the one we need to make money. They can see it's not just a lame, tired word problem. Rather, it's an exciting thing that says, let's get engaged, let's spend money, let's make money. Oh, I could see myself in a world where, again, imagining yourself in these spaces that transcend. And how much more are they more inclined to then click to slide 2, because they can start to see it's like going on a field trip to learn about Mesopotamia, to learn about $1 million mansions, et cetera, et cetera. How about this one? Got Halloween coming up next week. Learning something scary. Follow the House of Usher. I have a GIF in the background of a storm. Literally just Googled spooky weather. Then I have this picture of me. I look like I was freaking out when I had a larger beard. It's not a perfect GIF. You notice my mouth disappears somewhere in the middle of it. I don't take myself so seriously that I care. But my kids can see that this looks kind of spooky and kind of fun. How much more are they inclined to click on the next move or click on the next slide? Because, all right, you caught my attention, Meehan. I'm listening. What do you have to say? And they go forward with it. Love this. You can also talk about partying with phosphorescence. This is a science one here. Hey, it's a GIF on top of a GIF. I look like I'm raising the roof to make our very own glow stick. I realize it's not a very home-appropriate activity because you would need access to very expensive chemicals. But I want my students to feel like, oh, that's why we're studying this. So we could do that with it. Why not tie in those, quote, real world applications with things that are in your slide deck? Hey, click here and you can see a video of this thing in action. Hey, and this GIF behind me, this is me in the real world outside of our classroom using this tool or this technology to then feel connected. Even if I can't take a physical class trip, I can help you travel there remotely. We've now moved about halfway through our presentation. We've got about 25 minutes left in today's presentation. Sorry, 15 minutes left in today's presentation. I want to take a quick poll. Interactive class polling is an awesome way to get students engaged, and there's an awesome tool right now I'm going to use. It's called Poll Everywhere. It's a free add-on for Google, and it helps me do that thing where we're both breathing out and breathing in together, so I can see what your thoughts look like. And I'll put interactive polls embedded directly in my slide deck, like all of the time. After I've done too much direct instruction, I'm tired of hearing my voice, I'll say, all right, guys, if you could, and you can feel free to do this right now, if you have a cell phone right next to you, pull it up. Text the number 37607 and the word Meehan DJO, and you can join in the session. And then chiming in with your answer by typing A or B or C or D. If you want to pull up a screen on the internet, you can do that instead. And go to pollev.com/MeehanDJO. And I'm curious, we kind of had a chance to test drive a few different pedagogies so far. Of the 4 that we've test drove, which one are you most interested in? Is it the Padlet bulletin board? Is it the videos using Flipgrid? Is it the Google Slides that are oh so pretty? Or is it our Poll Everywhere embedded polling? Pull out my phone and I'll do the same thing here. Let's do this. Whoa. And DJO. Someone loves Padlet. Let's see here. What? Whoa, look at this. It's a horse race. Now it's like watching the election returns. Whoa, look at this. I love giving voice to students because this gives voice to the voiceless. Right now I see collaborative slides on Google is taking it in a landslide. And I would say, because students feel strength in numbers, whoa, Google Slides is crushing it. 5 people so far said it. I would love to. Anybody have, Billy, did you say Google Slides? Unmute. Can you tell us why you said what you said? Because he feels like he's already won the race. He'll be happy to say, I'm on the winning team. Yeah, you bet. Here's why I love that one. He'll talk. He feels seen. He feels supported. That's awesome. Meanwhile, I can go the other way with it, like, and only one person said Padlet. Guys, show a little love for Padlet. Who said Padlet? Because I totally agree with you. And that person is like little Susie. Susie, why did you say Padlet? I'm totally in your camp. Tell the world why they're wrong. A little bit of that playful, that engagement where they see themselves as, oh, I'm seen. Even if I am in that minority, I'm still a person of value. No wrong answers here. I just want to get the conversation rolling. Nobody said Flipgrid, but maybe Flipgrid was like, no votes for Flipgrid? Janie, you said Flipgrid was life. Can we unmute and talk about how Flipgrid and Edpuzzle work together? Again, letting students be seen and supported in the conversation. It's an awesome way. It's a free install right on the Google Slides. And again, just with that add-on, push the button, ready to go. They do have a paid upgrade for many of these sites, but I really love the free version for 98% of what I would use online for sure. I'm gonna click forward and keep moving. For tool number 5, talking about collaborative annotation. I made my Halloween joke because if you've ever seen the Garfield Halloween special, I love it. He says, candy, 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 candy. This case, I'm talking about Cami, 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 Cami. If you've never used Cami, it is an amazing shared annotation platform that I think you're going to fall in love with today. Totally free. It has a Google add-on, Cami. Just go ahead and search for K-A-M-I. It looks like this. You grab a PDF of anything you want, or you make a PDF of anything you'd like. Take the PDF and upload it to your Cami. Now, every student in your class has shared annotation access to that Cami. They can highlight, they can color code, they can leave comments, they can mark it up, they can make drawings or shapes, they can make threaded replies right on the right-hand side here. So you see that Tobias says, beauty that stands out from the standard conception of pretty women. Aiden replies not to the text. Aiden replies to Tobias. Yeah, that's beauty through strength. Then William says, they're spending money for wisely on their work. We're reading a short story about how people spend money, and it's called Sweet Potato Pie. Beautiful story. Aiden replies again, I agree. It demonstrates just how tight money is for them. Tobias then has a comment about the document. This is an interesting way to describe money on a tight budget. If I were to click on Tobias's name there, it would show me what he had highlighted that made him say that. And then Lauren says, yeah, I'm going to say the same thing, ... Right? Conversation between people who would not see one another in a physical classroom because we're in this social distance, to know that they're seen in the talking about this. Hey, we're on the same page, guys. We're on the same team. We're trying to figure out what this poem meant, or what this short story meant, or what this article meant, or what this table meant. What does this data look like? Shared PDF, you have access to it just like anybody else does. You share that URL, and now every student in your class has the ability to connect and support one another, and then say, how much more likely are you to do homework when you know your classmates have a chance to vote for you, vote with you, echo what you had to say, and say, oh, I learned because of what Johnny said in the other class. I found it to be really helpful. I love, love, love Cami. Totally free for the PDF, free version of it. There's a ton of great stuff. You can do the upgrade version, has even more features. You can see them here locked on the side. That's number 5, our game changers. Here's number 6. Talk about imaginative templates. Imaginative templates in a world where ... right? A lot of my time in COVID has been spent trying to figure out how to get kids to give a hoot about learning when all they're doing is binge watching and their brains are rotting with Tiger King and Lord knows what else. So if I could have my class feel more binge worthy, they would tune in for it. I love this idea of tapping into things that I care about or they care about outside of class, and then trying to replicate the same spirit in our classrooms. Here's our example. Template number 1. I saw that the NFL draft this year went to fully virtual rather than in person, with Roger Goodell up there sort of reading the announcements of which team had drafted. They posted up on their social media feeds. They posted up on YouTube. The New Orleans Saints drafted in the first round, so-and-so, and this is what the template looked like. So I took a screenshot of that one, and then I replicated that template here on Google Slides. This is fully editable. Instead of drafting NFL players here, you can draft anything you wanted to. Hey guys, we're doing a American leaders draft. Who would you draft? Who would be your top 5 picks? On your mark, get set, go. Change the picture in the background, change the text in the top, and when you have the 5 or 4 things that are most impressive about this person, type them over here in this space. What you'll notice, I hope you can see my mouse. I roll my mouse over it. That in the bottom left-hand side of the screen, you can see it. This actually goes to wesleyan.edu, and it'll teach you a little bit about Malcolm X. This one will take you over to malcolmx.com. This one will take me to an article from news1.com, and this will take me to a piece on history.com if I were to click it. This is an annotated bibliography, y'all. It says, here's what I have found about this person, and here's why that thing is relevant. We could draft the 5 best leaders in American history, or we can draft the 3 most treacherous characters in all of Shakespeare, or we can draft the 4 strongest, world powers in a history class, or a politics class, or a government class, or a civics class, or in a business class. If you had to pick 4 organizations in the world that you would say were like the most evil organizations, who would they be and why? And then they turn it into a Flipgrid debate. Hey guys, put your draft picks up there or come to class with them all picked up, ready to go. All right, we have our favorites. Blue team, can you explain why you made your top 3 draft picks who they are? We've got 30 seconds on the clock. Explain why you said what you said. Metacognition. Divide students into the blue team against the green team, or the red team versus the blue team, or the boys versus the girls, or 3rd period against 5th period. And each team is drafting their own dream roster, their dream team, and then coming back and explaining why they picked what they picked. Super metacognitive, very, very high level. Kids are excited to defend because they have a dog in that fight, a horse in that race, just like we saw with that poll everywhere. Oh, I picked X because, I didn't pick Y because, and then in a Flipgrid sort of analysis afterwards, you can do this as a post-game where students have the video and say, we looked at the draft today. I got to tell you, blue team did really well with A, B, and C, but what they missed was X, Y, and Z. And so for that reason, their draft grade would be, I don't know what the answers are. I want my students fighting and defending what they have to say using good text evidence to bear that out. Especially in an election year, it's so important that we vet credible sources and help teach our students how to dig into the text. I can think of a million applications of this one. Another one that lends itself to a million applications. During COVID, I got a Peloton bike because they canceled all my races and all of my chances to get to the gym. So this is what the actual heads-up display for the Peloton looks like. You can see I'm over there on the right-hand side. I'm currently 352 on this rank. I'm not so good, or maybe 107 in the rank. I'm Meehan EDU right there on this bike ride. This is my output, my cadence, my resistance. It's just telling me on a virtual bike ride through the mountains here in maybe, I don't know, this is Arizona. Here's how you're doing so far. There's music up in the background. Okay, fine. Heart rate, etc. Maybe I could take this same thing and say, I'm going to give you a heads-up display of this, and now you edit it. And you tell me who is on a ride and where they are on a ride to, themed around anything we could be learning in class. I made this one Star Wars themed just as an example, but hey, we're racing through Ice Planet Hoth. Why is Poe Dameron in the lead ahead of Leia Organa? Why is Princess Leia doing better than Padme? Where do you think Jabba the Hutt might fall in this list? There's no right answers. I just want students to explain why they did what they did. You can do this in a science lab. Hey, we're going underwater. Who would be our #1 underwater explorer? Again, it's the draft experience just presented at a slightly different skin. On the left-hand side, you say I gave this a theme song. It's called the song Enduring Heroes by Wicket and the Woods. That's like a 1%er joke for the kid who actually has a deep fandom of the Star Wars universe. So why don't they pick a playlist where they'd score, hey, if we were going through a trip through space, here would be the 5 best space songs. And because they tie into our content, they have to explain why they said what they said. I don't care what they say. I want to hear why they're saying it and that they can anchor it with good text evidence. It's just another way of thinking about ways to give back. Again, breathe out what you're breathing in. Lots of different fun applications, and this all is available on my website. You can use it for a virtual tour of Mesopotamia or an underwater tour of Atlantis. I mean, literally anything. The possibilities are endless. Traveling through space or time, Lord knows. Another thing that their students are doing while they're away is a ton of binge watching. I mentioned that before. So what if I could turn binge watching into binge learning? Hey guys, here's a fully editable Netflix template. Just Google Slides. When you click on it, you then have the ability to edit it in any way that you want to. Okay, fine. As that slide deck goes, what do you care about? We're going to make a blog or a website. Tell me what your thing is. This is mine. If Netflix was making a series about me and my passion project, I love theme parks, mud runs, and escape rooms. And for that reason, I wrote a book called Adrenaline Rush. If they made a movie or a TV series about me, this is what the first 5 episodes would be about. Spoiler, each one of those episodes is a slight chapter summary. This is what I talked about in chapter 2, and in chapter 3, and in chapter 4. When you watch real Netflix, they have a thread on the bottom that says, you might also like, and they have the things that are of most relevance based on what you've watched. Look at this. If I scroll over what you might also like, there's a link to DisneyWorld.com, or to Disneyland, or to Tough Mudder, or to Spartan races, or to different escape rooms. Help students see there are other things in the world inspired by the type of things that they do like or they do care about. Again, as my Magnificent 7 goes, this is what I care about. What do you care about? Loving letting students put their own twist on it. We went on quarantine. This is Mira. She loves vegan cooking, or she wanted to try during a quarantine time to be a temporary vegan. So she made a cooking blog. And then every week she would post up new videos of what she was cooking and then make videos explaining how she cooked it and then write up short explainers and blog entries and write-ups about here's what I did, here's what the research looked like. And man, it was really hard to make that video. I was watching other food bloggers and what I saw was, so I want to try putting some music in or some recipes in. And I want to try sharing that stuff with the cool visuals and sharing the outtakes. How much more does she want to do this? You can see the joy on her face because she knows her classmates are tuning in every week to see the latest additions to what she has to talk about. Whether I care about teaching and she cares about cooking or Lord knows what else, it helps students feel engaged and excited and connected with the world outside of, because they start to see themselves as a person who is existing largely outside of just the 4 walls of our physical classroom. And we talk about things outside of our classrooms when we cover really hard issues like the protests in this past spring into the summer, the Black Lives Matter protest. I want students to be empowered to see that they can change the game. So we can do this in a history class as an example. Hey guys, imagine Netflix wanted to do a documentary series on BLM. You tell me what that series would look like. You guys are the red team, you're the green team. You're both rival production companies who can make the better Netflix series, and go. Now we're talking about annotations. Maybe if they click on these things, they tell about histories of these people. They link to YouTube videos. They have real life documented footage or interviews or websites that are credible, helping these students see that the work that they're doing is in the world largely outside of your classroom. You can take this for science, for math, for English, for history, explainer videos, and have a video repository they can go back to again and again and again that you can use to teach future generations the work we're doing really does matter, and that we're trying to argue for the dignity of every human person in the work that we're doing so they're seen and heard. Likewise, to see them and hear them, every week I'll send out a newsletter and I'll just say, hey guys, here's what everyone turned in this week. Here's every video, every post, every website, every link. And the students are excited to tune in because they don't know what's going to happen next. Oh man, I really like so-and-so's blog. My favorite part was, and that next level of homework they could reflect on which of the 3 websites did you like the best? Why? Talking about what you found, what was the best of that project. If you had a chance to do it again, what would you borrow from them, steal from them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They tune in like a regularly scheduled program. They want to see what's exciting, and we push that out so they feel like this class is always bringing them back in, and they're never having a chance to spend that time on the bench. Finally, for our final escape room, and I'll spend our final game changer, I'll spend a little more time on it. I actually am giving a session at 3 o'clock. One more time if you want to tune in. I'll talk more about this one there. But a reverse escape room, like an old school escape room where you have to go to a place to break out. I use a Google slide deck that I'll send out on a Monday that's full of like 7 or 8 different tasks they have to break into, and I can use it to teach any course or any content area. I call the pedagogy a QR break-in, and I'll give you an example of one right here very quickly. I noticed over the summer the students were watching Floor is Lava on Netflix. So I said, all right, guys, here's the deal. We're going to do a class as lava. Cannot possibly get into class because the class is flooded with lava. Whoops. But we have all of these artifacts we have to collect back from our class. So like the Floor is Lava TV show, I don't care which furniture you hop on in which order, but you need to hop your way through all 10 pieces of furniture before the time expires. Our QR break-in pedagogy says what you have done is rewarded by going to the chance to work on another module. So if you've hopped on the TV, for example, when you're done with that, nice work. Now hop on the couch. Now hop on the recliner. How many can you get done before time expires? I'll push it out and I'll say, look, guys, and that's the start of the unit example here from this Class is Lava. Which team can reign supreme? Because we're about to kick off a whole year's worth of hopping on stuff virtually. Your goal is to work with your teammates to successfully navigate your scattered challenges throughout our virtual classroom. There'll be 10 items to hop on, but I don't care the order which you hop on them. I just need by the end of the class, you can go and prove you were at all 10 stations. We're now micro-credentialing or micro-badging rather than micromanaging. So as we move forward through it, we have 10 different stations. I present them here in a slide deck. Every student has access to the slide deck. Maybe at one station, they have to do something like fill out a Google form. At another one yet, they might have to do a short Flipgrid, or complete to a Padlet, or sign up for text alerts with Remind, complete a sketch note, take a short survey about themselves, whatever it looks like. I don't care which order they do it. I'm just going to be checking off through the course of the week. Students are making active progress throughout. It's a nice way to give them that autonomy, move at their own pace. And that QR break-in model says when you complete station A, you can move to B. Or when you complete station D, you can move to station C. I don't care the order in which you get them done. I have a big old spreadsheet in the background, and if I wanted to, I can share this information with the students, where I can be checking off a list. Hey, this was all shared on Monday. On your mark, it's at go. You have 3 days or 5 days to get all these tasks done. Again, that visual endowed progress. Check, 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 check. Then if 3 days through the week, I notice, let's say Mike or Susie Greenberg are falling behind because they had 5 days to get 10 stations done. We're now 3 days in and they only have 1 station done. Shoot a quick email. Hey, if you're getting this email, it's because I haven't seen you making progress this week. Are you okay? Is there anything I could do to help? We would presume positive intent. We never assume that a child is up to anything bad. Just give them a chance to talk to you. Oh, thanks, Mr. Meehan. I have a job. My mom has been sick with COVID. I'm trying to get some work done. Hey, and I check in with that child and I get to see how I can be better and safer and support that kid. So they see that the work they're doing matters. They're part of this team. I'm breathing in what they're breathing out. And we're going to repeat that process again and again through the pandemic. So as we talk about going the distance, student engagement strategies that really can help our students be a part of our team virtually, I hope you are walking away from today's session thinking that there's new things that you can breathe in. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to do everything. Do one thing. Do one of these 7 tricks this week and see that it's working. And if it's working, consider the possibility of how you can plus it, how to take a deeper breath and get breathing in and breathing out as you go. All these templates are available on adrenalinerush.com. If you like today's session and you want to say things to me on Twitter, I'm at Meehan.edu. If you really like the session, feel free to rate it on the Sketch app. That would be awesome because it lets me know how to do this better. I know we had to go really quickly. I apologize that I'm not able to see your faces in person. But if you have questions, I'll stay on for a moment. But I want to say thank you. Stay home, stay healthy, stay safe, wear a mask. I hope you're staying positive and testing negative. God bless you. And anything I can do to help, I'm all in. Thank you guys again for taking some time today. I appreciate it.
Great job, and thank you so much for sharing. Just a quick note that the password for this session is empower, and he did give us quite a few ideas to help us empower our students in the classroom. So this is an appropriate password. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, guys.